Hello educators, this is video lesson 2B, and here we're going to be focused on an application or an extension called PearDeck, and I think PearDeck is great to make your lessons on Google Slides much more powerful and better for both students and for us as teachers. The main reason that I think PearDeck's really a game changer for Google Slides is that it's going to make your slides more interactive, more fun, more engaging for your students. And at the same time, it's going to provide you with really good data about which students are engaged, how well they're doing learning the content for that day, and what adjustments you need to make throughout the rest of that class and going forward. So this video is going to do two things really. It's going to cover the basics of PearDeck and how to use it, seeing it in action, and it's also going to kind of focus on two of the reasons that I think PearDeck is actually, in some ways, I much prefer it to Nearpod. Nearpod is very similar to PearDeck in that it makes your slides more interactive. It has a lot of benefits that PearDeck does not have, certainly. But two things that PearDeck does better than Nearpod, I think number one, that if you're somebody who creates custom content on Google Slides, if you actually create your own questions or you pull questions from somewhere and you modify them a bit, PearDeck just works way better. It's actually built to be a nice extension with questions you're creating rather than this separate pop-out question where you put your question in like they do on Nearpod and it doesn't include all the features you've made in your custom question. And the second reason that we'll really highlight in this video is that PearDeck has really awesome graphing tools that allow your students to really engage, but also to learn from each other as they see other students trying to work on a graph that they're working on in real time. So we're going to jump into PearDeck, take a look at what this looks like for students, and then also how we create some of this PearDeck content. Right here, we're back in this main math materials slide that our students are in each day as they guide through, and PearDeck is kind of usually either our first or second activity, and it's where we kind of work together as a whole class exploring new ideas or skills before students practice those skills on their own at the end of class for the last 20 or 30 minutes. So here we're looking in actually Google Slides where this question, where the whole PearDeck lesson is built originally, but then we're going to go out to the PearDeck platform to see what this looks like. So here you see it's just a regular Google slide that's built with a graph and a question for students, and this little gray toolbar up here you see, that's from our PearDeck add-on. So again, PearDeck is an add-on. You just go to Google to download and install this add-on quickly, and then you'll see it pop up in your add-ons. And when you open it, anytime I want to add a PearDeck question, anytime I've created the slide and it's ready to go and have its question added to it, I would open that PearDeck add-on. And as I'm video recording, it's a little bit slow, but when it loads up, you see here in blue is how I can add the different question types. And in this case, the first question type we're going to show you when we look at PearDeck is a draggable question type. It's one where all of the students actually get to drag some dots or stars around the graph, and then also see where their classmates ended up as well. Then there's more standard questions as well. If you want a text-based or students to type an answer, that's here. If you want students to just enter a number, that's also an option right here. And multiple choice is another option. So as you see, it definitely lacks some of the outside power that Nearpod has. If you're looking to really extend to other applications, other websites, things like that, Nearpod is really your ticket for students that are going beyond what you've created in a Google slide. But I do find that if I'm creating questions on Google Slides and I want students to just answer multiple choice or open response questions or to be able to drag points around a graph, I find that as you're going to see, PearDeck does have some really powerful features compared to Nearpod. So when you have your whole PearDeck lesson built, that's what we're going to take a look at now from the student end. Same thing in class, you open this add-on up and you just hit this Start Lesson button. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to select Instructor Paced Activity. That's what I've done always anytime I'm doing live class lessons. It's what PearDeck's fantastic for. It does have a student-paced activity as well. And that's one option, but I do think for a few reasons, if you do student-paced asynchronous work, I think Nearpod does provide some better data reports and telling students if they're right or wrong. So I'm much kind of, if I use PearDeck, it's really for when we're live together in class for an instructor-paced type activity. So when you launch that, it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this. It wouldn't load instantly. It does take about 30 seconds, so as a heads up, it is nice to preload the PearDeck before class starts, so you're not waiting 20, 30 seconds as this loads up. But the easiest way for students to join, if you click right here, it gives you just immediately copies that link to your clipboard, and that's honestly easiest for our students. We just go and we take that link and would paste it in the Zoom chat, and the students could just click that link in the Zoom chat, and they get right in the PearDeck right away. Alternatively, your more advanced students, if they want to go ahead of time to join pd.com, they can always type in these 6 digits, or 6 characters, I guess. But again, 99% of our students are just clicking the link that we quickly share with them in the chat to get there. It'll tell you as students connect, and I'm going to go ahead and close this screen. That's just kind of the welcome screen as you're sharing the link with students and they're joining. In here, I've already selected, I've moved before the video started to the questions that we wanted to show, but there's a nice tool right here as you jump in. If your slide deck is got a bunch of slides like mine, it'll start you on slide 1, but this kind of table of contents or menu here lets you sort through it and go pick whichever slide you're starting your lesson off on with the students. Touching that button again, of course, disappears that menu as you see. And before we actually show some of the students' things, the main thing I want to show for some of PearDeck is also the teacher dashboard. And it gives you an option to launch that in the beginning, but also this 3-dot settings menu right here is one place I can always open the teacher dashboard from. And I'm going to show you right now what that teacher dashboard actually looks like. For the teacher dashboard, it does a few great things. If you've got 2 monitors, like I do, it's great that you can have this teacher dashboard on a separate monitor, so you can monitor which students are answering questions, what they have for answers, and maybe just choose what you show to students as a whole class on the other screen. In this teacher dashboard, it tells you which students are logged in. So you see this is just me who's logged in twice, and my Chromebook shut off, so I'm logged off on that one, I guess. But it shows you the students who are logged in. It also does tell you, they get to click in the beginning how they're feeling. If they're feeling great, they're feeling okay, or feeling a little bit down. You can see that info here too. And this dashboard, which we're kind of going to go away from when you're doing multiple choice questions, standard questions, it kind of lets you see, without revealing to all the other students in the class, you can see who's answered, what answer they've come up with, and we'll show more of that shortly. Now on the teacher side, which is nice, this is a draggable question. Each student would actually be trying to drag a star, a circle, a square to try to create a graph by using this linear equation. And what we found really nice is not only the students' ability to engage and create their own graphs in class, you're able to show student responses in real time. So what we see here is a template where a couple students have started to answer this question already to try to graph. And we're going to show you there's one student right now who's trying to figure out, where am I going to put that square? And as that student tabs back into the Zoom, they can kind of see their classmates where they were showing up and hear some of the discussion. And then maybe they too can realize where that square needs to go at the end of the day. And it's a great way for students to, you can choose when you show the other answers. So in the beginning, we give students sometimes a little time to work on it on their own. But honestly, a lot of times, we love to show the students who figure this out quickly right away. So students who are a bit unsure can come into Zoom, see what's happening, and see how some of those students are thinking through the problem, and then also go do it on their own on their Chrome application. So again, really nice way to make the slides interactive, to have all the students working on the same problem at once and see how they're creating these graphs. I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple other types of PearDeck questions here. So this is an example of a multiple choice question, what our students would see. We're going to show you the student N for a second here. When it pops up for them, they actually have choices of A, B, C, D here, and you see, unlike Nearpod, this question is still big, it's beautiful, it's easy for our students to see the entire question and anything we put on there for notes. Unlike Nearpod, where they just kind of give you that quick pop-up and it's tough to see. So students would be here, they'd get to select, so let's say the student picks, this is going to be the wrong answer, but that's fine. And as they pick that answer, on the teacher side, teacher dashboard, I get to kind of see as students are entering answers, who's picking each answer, and I can see Derek Doherty, maybe he picked the wrong answer, and this is a nice way to see how many students in total have answered and what answers they're picking. And again, if you had a second monitor, it's fantastic in that you can kind of watch this on one monitor that the students don't see to respect the privacy of who's getting questions right and wrong, so you're still informed and kind of figuring out when to discuss the answer and which students you could call on to discuss the correct answer. We'll show one last one, the standard open response type one. If our students are ever asked to type in an answer, that's what this would look like here. And here we see the student side, what is the equation of the line, so the student would be able to type in an equation, and maybe the student does understand it, it's 1x plus 4. And so as that student puts that answer in, on the teacher dashboard side, I get to see that student typing it in. And even if they hadn't typed all of it in yet, maybe they're still trying to figure it out. We got 1x plus something. I can even see in live time is that students starting to type what's coming in for their answers, and the same for all the other students as they type and share their answers. So it's a really great way as you go through lessons to have every student engaged, making graphs, answering multiple choice questions, and you as a teacher to really be able to kind of gather some of that information. As far as how it's created, this video is getting a bit long at 10 minutes, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. But largely how it's created is you're going to go and create the math problem first, or whatever class you're in, create the question you're asking students, and then you'll go ahead and open up the PearDeck add-on, like you see here, and then these are the different templates where you can pick. So if I select Draggable, it would come in here, and we'll quickly show a couple things about building the Draggable question. As that template pops up here, you get to see you can add other squares or circles. So if I wanted to add other things, I could do that, or delete some of them if I don't want them all in there. I can change the colors of those dots, and a really important thing, I can change the size. In the beginning, some of them are way too big up there, and then you can kind of choose and see how big it would look for students, and ultimately decide how big you want those dots to be. But really simple, you pick those dots, whatever you want for points for students to be graphing. It takes PearDeck a couple seconds to add that. I don't know if I'd call it a link, but the piece that allows PearDeck to work here. It's important you can't delete this. It needs to be somewhere on the slide for PearDeck to work. But by all means, you can feel free to move it around. I tend to drag it higher up here, and I also tend to put it in the background, drop it behind everything else for order, so it's not really hiding some of the more important stuff. If you have any questions about PearDeck, using it, creating this content, things like that, my email address is right here. It's ddoherty3@bostonpublicschools.org. And I'm always thrilled to talk with math teachers or any teachers in general who have ideas, questions that can help all of us become better as we're working on some of this remote learning stuff. So thanks for watching to the end of the video. And if you find this helpful, please feel free to share it with other teachers as well. Thank you.